Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
It's been a few weeks.
It really has, Kim. It really has been a long time that we've been sitting and recording. So we have to give you an update, everybody.
Yes, I got neck surgery because I've had long-standing neck pain and issues for almost 5 years. And so I decided to replace a disc in my neck. Hopefully it's going to work. But it took some time off and recovery. And if you guys are watching video, you can see I have a little like tape on my neck covering the scar. But
it'll be good once you do your therapy, and in about 2-3 months, I think you're going to have a really good recovery, because you really were having a lot of pain due to, the job. I mean, of being on a computer all the time when you were in your early 20s, when you were working downtown for Cheddar, and you were doing all that kind of work that causes you're looking down so much, and it caused havoc on the disc. So hopefully they've corrected it now, and it'll be a new start in the spring, midsummer. You got to project that's probably after you've done therapy when you really start feeling the result of the procedure.
Well, we did a video talking a little bit about it, but I stayed overnight in the hospital. And the hospital, I did it at Hospital for Special Surgery.
Which is a wonderful institution. I mean, the doctor was fabulous. And
the doctor was great. It was definitely, we were realizing that there weren't like enough nurses.
Yeah, we've discussed this. Now, for those who might not have known, I also took a fall the week before Kim did the surgery, but I did it in Rome. And so that was even a little more difficult to get attendance with doctors. And
that was definitely worse and harder because we didn't speak
the language. We were very lucky. Somebody from the film company went with us and who was fluent in Italian, because we were doing some work for Focus Features. And we were supposedly, we were having a wonderful time, but unfortunately there was a step in my room and I went flat down. I missed the step. I was thinking about something else. It just shows you have to really concentrate, especially as you get older, on your surroundings, because silly accidents happen. I knew the step was there. I had been in the hotel room for several days, and I knew the step, but it was the same color. So you sort of, when you think you're going straight on a floor and there's no delineation between one floor and the other, I just went straight down, and this was a mess. So we were very lucky.
Me and you were just like,
Kimmy said, we're going out for dinner soon. I said, no, we're not. We're calling an ambulance.
Yeah, you literally were like, okay, don't look. And I was like, what are you talking about? And you were like, there's blood everywhere.
Well, I fell flat on my face, and in retrospect, when I think about it, Kim, I really didn't break my teeth. I could have broken my hip, my arm.
True.
I really took the whole floor, my poor little nose.
Yeah. When we were in the Italian hospital, you were like, I just fell on my nose, nothing else. And the doctor was like, you just fell on your nose and nothing else on your head is fine. You just went bloop right on your nose.
Luckily, my nose took the brunt of the fall, and miraculously there was a little bit of fracture, but nothing major. So it's just been a healing time. I didn't leave we came home a day early, and I took to my bed in New York. I never left the house because I looked like a raccoon, and because the blood from my other parts all settled in the eye area. So it looked like I did major reconstructive work, and there's no visible changes. So for those who can see me on the
you look
podcast,
totally normal and fine.
Yeah, but I still have, if I don't put a little bit of makeup on, I still have a little bruising there. It's disappearing. It takes a very long time for the trauma to disappear.
Yeah.
But yours was different. Yours was a real big medical procedure.
Yeah. Well, I'm still feeling some symptoms.
Yeah, but you will.
We'll see when that goes away, but every day does get better. And I shared a little bit on social media about everything, and I was so shocked about how many people actually did a similar surgery and their experience. One kid even from my high school reached out and happened to have used the same surgeon as me a few weeks prior. And it's so crazy to like talk about those kind of things. And even everyone just saying, get better soon and wishing me a speedy recovery.
Makes you feel good, right?
It was so nice. Like all of our audience and some of them even checked up on me a second or a third time.
Well,
to see
people
how-
on the street approached me last week and said, "How's Kim doing?" I don't even know these people. So we're really very appreciative of our fans and the people who care about us, because we do care about all of you, and the love is going back and forth. So that's really makes us feel good.
When it comes to like my friends as well, I feel like everyone really stepped up. I received like flowers and candy and
All kinds
like
of goodies.
all kinds of goodies from really everybody who I'm close with, and a lot of people texted me as well who I'm in contact with a lot. So I thought that goes such a long way. It makes you realize like who your friends
Well, and
are.
it makes you feel good, because when you're down, it's always nice to know somebody's giving you good cheer and thinking about you. It makes you feel better. And I especially think that the people who have gone through the same issues, when they reach out to you and talk about it, it makes you realize you're not the only one going through that at that particular time. And you know there's a stage at which each level of pain will go away, and when the recuperative things will start happening. And it's very important, and for people out there, reach out to your friends if you've had similar incidents that they're going through now. Talk about it. I know I did that after I recovered from breast surgery. I was always a person who everybody called if they had similar problems. And it does help. It's like a sisterhood or a brotherhood, that you do help each other out. And the more people who talk about it, you realize you're not going through it alone, which
Yeah.
I think is very important.
Agreed. Let's talk about what else is going on in our lives. Memorial Day weekend is coming up.
Memorial Day weekend is coming up in the Northeast. It's going to be naturally cool. I mean, usually Memorial Day weekend in the Northeast is either raining or very cold. You never have, we've had one or two really nice seasons, but I always remember, even going back 20 and 30 years, we used to rush to get our pool open. We used to rush to put the flowers in the ground, and there was always a frost right before Memorial Day. Now, this year, we're going to have fair weather, but it's going to be cool. So I was just I was just packing up my suitcase because I haven't been out east. We go to East Hampton in the summer, and I haven't been out east since October. So
Oh, wow.
I know.
Yeah.
So I really.
I guess I haven't either.
So that's it. It's so interesting. You go into a different mode and you forget about it. And so I know I have to go out, straighten things up. I have somebody who's going to help me with the flowers and put some things that I like around the house.
Will a lot of your friends be going out there?
Well,
as
most of
well?
my friends actually go out on the weekends. I haven't really done that. We were in Florida for like 7 months, and then we came back up here, and then you and I went to Europe right after we came back, basically. So and then I had to recuperate,
Yeah.
and then you had your procedure. So we sort of hung around in the city, and so this is my first weekend. I'm going to do a run to Stop and Shop. I'm going to have major food buying, and so that should be fun. I have to, get everything back in the house, and I'm looking forward to it. I do love the country, and I love to look at the trees, and this is the most beautiful time of the year when everything is in full bloom, and the flowers really are just starting to, the pretty flowers are just coming out, and most of the allergies now are gone, because
Yeah.
my husband has terrible allergies in May out there when the oak trees are blossoming, but those are all finished, so now we're going into regular, just beautiful flowers. And so really looking forward to a nice summer.
Yeah. I feel like this weekend will be nice, but I don't think I'm looking forward more to the rest of the summer. Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of my friends actually are traveling in different places.
Yeah, I think July and August, it's really, especially where we go, it's really July and August.
Yeah.
And the young people who rent out there, that's the season for renting.
Right. Because then
and-
people go to bars and Montauk is busy and
Right.
things like that. And
Right.
their parties.
And we have a new the restaurant we went to in Rome, Kim, where your friend is opened.
Scarpetta.
Scarpetta was so fabulous. Now I want to go to the one out in Montauk.
Mm-hmm.
So that was so delicious. We had that pasta bolognese underneath the
No,
dome.
It's just Pomodoro.
Did I have Pomodoro? I thought I had
no,
the
it was just
bolognese.
Pomodoro.
Pomodoro? Oh, it was so good. Of course, I must say, everything tastes a little better in Rome. I think it's the noodles and the water that they make the noodles
Yeah,
with.
think
I
it's
really
probably
mean it.
less chemicals.
I don't think there are any chemicals in
Yeah.
Europe. They don't cook with chemicals.
Yeah.
They don't use preservatives. We don't use chemicals either, but we do have some preservatives. And if we don't use fresh pasta, it's box pasta, which we
Yeah.
normally use. It does not taste the same because we made the fresh pasta in our cooking
Yeah, we
class.
did a cooking class. Yeah,
I thought that
it's not
pasta
that
was the
hard
best.
to make, actually.
Well, it's just time consuming.
Yeah.
It's just time consuming. You have to let everything set and rise and then dry out. And, we did it. I think we took a cooking class, started at 10 in the morning, and we were finished eating it around 2.
Yeah, you're right. That was a long day, and if you have other things to do,
Right.
I don't know how people find the time.
Well, people just make a day of cooking. I think it's a very cathartic. Making dough of any sort when you do the pounding.
Yeah.
I just watched a program on television where Hoda on Channel 4 was saying you have to take your aggressions out by pounding. She pounds a pillow. And
what?
she does. She
A little
she
psychotic.
punches. No. She punches a pillow she gets her aggressions out, and then she breathes in deeply. It's like a routine. And she said, you breathe and you feel so much better. You get everything out. So I think that's the same with the pasta making.
Okay.
You knead your dough. You keep going over it, and you sort of work through all your issues that you might be having in your mind at that time.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about some of the videos that we did this week and comments.
Okay.
Just to go back a little bit, I guess, about the surgery. We did post about it and our experience that we didn't feel like there were a lot of nurses. And
right.
actually, some of the feedback we got was interesting because I guess people said, let me try to get the exact comments, but they said there's not a shortage of nurses. It's just a shortage of nurses that are willing to work in poor conditions.
Well, I don't think the conditions in special surgery are
Yeah.
poor conditions. I think there are. I don't agree with that person. I've seen statistics. There has been a drain of nurses from our New York City hospitals since COVID. There's no question about that. That's a fact. So I think the person who emailed you that is not correct. And unfortunately, no matter how much you're willing to pay somebody, and they do get a fairly decent pay now in the hospitals, they just don't have the people to staff them. So I still say that's a place for young people to go back into. It's one of the fields, healthcare, that is going to do very well in the next several years because
someone
the
also said-
population is aging and we need more care workers.
Someone also said this country, especially big cities, don't treat nurses well and their pay is low.
Well, I think their pay was low, and many of them did go out on strike after COVID, and we had this problem. But I think it is getting better. It certainly needs improvement. They are a vital part of the health system, just as many of the residents are now striking in Queens that they're not getting the same pay that New York City doctors, residents are getting. There needs to be more quality in pay, no question about it, and I agree with that person. I'd be the first one to say all the nurses and all the healthcare workers and teachers should be getting terrific, much more pay than they're getting. It's been really a problem we've had, and there's no question about that.
The other thing we posted, one of the videos this week, was I got some of old footage from you from your family videos when my mom was 2 years old to
So it's
10 years
almost
old.
56 years ago we're talking about, but the video is pretty clear still. We didn't lose the images.
Yeah, some of them, yes, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna post some of them
Oh
in the
my
next
gosh.
few weeks. But I posted one so far that was 1966.
Right.
You're brunette.
I like
and
that color.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Your hairstyle there is
my hairstyle
kinda
was almost
similar.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was sure the problem was as I got older, I lost the nice brown color, so it sort of changed. So I went blonde. I started putting little bits
Well, but
in.
then you went long again.
I went
and then you
long
went
in the
short.
70s. Well, the 70s was a long
Yeah.
hair comb time. It was the Beatles, the time of the Beatles. Everybody had long hair.
So people wrote, "She's an icon. We love Grandma Gail. Always classy."
That's so sweet of everybody. And it's fun to see. yeah, I forgot I even had those tapes. Poppy had made a CD of all his family tapes. He compiled a whole thing, took them to one of the stores, and they put it on a CD. So it's fun to look at them. Unfortunately, so many of them have passed, so we don't even, it's our only history of who, grandparents and parents, what they looked like, and makes us feel close to them again. We love it.
Yeah, and it's a nice activity if people are, next time they go home to see their parents or grandparents, to ask to see some family footage or albums.
See, unfortunately, so many of us today, and I find this so sad. I know I'm doing it myself. We are always taking pictures on our phone. So we don't take movies anymore, home videos and all that. And I think the people who do will appreciate 5 or 10 years from now looking back at them. I wish we did it. We're not, I don't even think my husband has the movie camera
But
anymore.
now everybody's recording everything.
But it's different. It's recording on your phone. So
what's
it's
the
not like
difference?
you can put it on a projector and sit in your living room
Well, yes,
and
you
watch
can.
it. Can you? Oh,
Yeah,
all
like,
right.
what
Well,
do
we
you-
don't do it.
Watching
be a-
it on a bigger screen instead of a smaller screen, you're saying?
Yeah, well, we used to watch it on a movie screen. We had a movie screen at home. That used to be a great activity for the weekend. We used to see and watch all these videos. But
I guess like if you wanted, yeah, you can screen mirror your phone to your TV.
I
and
guess,
watch it on
I
the
guess,
TV.
you know what? I'm not that creative. I'm sure you're
But I think
absolutely
that was
right.
probably more special because it's like you haven't brought it out in a while versus the stuff
Right.
in your camera roll you could look at every day if
Right.
you wanted to. It's less of a
It's
like,
selfies every minute, right?
Yeah.
It's not the old ones.
yeah, and it's less like let's go back in the time machine because like you're reviewing them more often.
You're right. You're right.
And they're probably not as special moments. It's just like everyday stuff.
Right.
But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe
I don't know. Do they take movies at weddings anymore? Is it all just
Yeah,
snapshot?
yeah.
They do take moving pictures. I was wondering about that.
like record the night.
See, we
you mean?
recorded the night, but then we never ended up looking at them, I think. But I do look at I still look at my wedding album occasionally and see it, but it's faded so terribly. Whatever they did, we had a very big photographer who was very famous in New York take pictures. And for some reason, the colors have really faded, which I'm very sad about because those photos can never be reproduced. And I look back on some family members that I so dearly miss, and the quality of the film is not held up.
That's unfortunate.
That's sad. I don't know. Maybe I should take it to a real professional place and see if they can do something about that before they go completely off.
Yeah, because you don't
Yeah.
want to not have them at
It'll
all.
be a blank page soon.
Yeah, that's not great. I wonder why was it like the type of camera or the way?
I don't know. It was the way I think it was put in the album, the way they must have transposed the photograph. You know, the photograph became a page, and it was in color, and the color is really not done well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we can look into a place that can do that.
Can help us, right.
Yeah.
And if anybody has a suggestion where you do that, email Kim.
Grandma Gail's headlines of the week.
Well, there's only one headline, and you'll see it constantly on TV. It's the debt ceiling, and that Congress has been dysfunctional, and the president has been busy, I don't know, doing what, running to Japan, and he's been dysfunctional, and Schumer has been dysfunctional, and the Republicans are trying to make a deal, and the Democrats don't want it. It's all politics. They're going to sign. It's just that they want to stress everybody out, and it's really unfair. It's unfair to people in the financial world. It's unfair to people who worry about their Medicare payments being disrupted. It's a very, I sometimes think the people in Washington live in a bubble that is outside of what the normal American is really living. And I think we have to start doing something about that and start voting in people who really understand what the Americans really want in the American public. So that's foremost on everybody's mind this week. And hopefully it's got to be settled by, I think, the beginning of June, and it will be, I'm sure. But they just stress everyone out. Everyone's stress level gets very high, especially, for older Americans who worry about their retirement payments and things like that. They're on fixed incomes. It's not a very good time for older people in America, where especially middle income families who don't have that much anymore. It's their payments for their mortgages are higher. All these things increase the stress level, and you're finding that in the mental health that's coming out. And the other thing is mental health. I think that has been just a disaster in this country. I think more so than any other country. And I don't know what the reason is. I really don't know why our numbers are so much more than the Australians or the other large countries in Europe and Western Europe. But we're certainly having an issue with mental health. And I don't know if it's pressure or if it's the family unit that is causing issues amongst the young, and or society itself has just lost its concept of where young people, what their needs are. And I think we have to start paying really more and more attention. We keep putting lip service that we're upset, but it seems like more and more of it keeps happening. And that is a very big problem today, because we need strong young people to run the country. We need them to run the country, to run businesses, to go out and get jobs. And if they are feeling so upset about what their own lives are, it's not good for the general purpose. So hopefully we're going to get programs soon in schools, and parents will start understanding a little more of where their teenagers and their preteens are having such issues.
Yeah, I wonder if there's studies and things that like poll people asking what they're dissatisfied about, or if it's just general.
No, I think there are. I think they know a lot of it is due to, I think they just feel disillusioned with the world. The young people have always tried to be. I've always felt has always represented hope and where the future goes. And a lot of young people today feel, because of war, because of all the chatter that they get on social media and they get over the news, that people are in desperation. And really, the world isn't desperate. We're in better times now than we've been in many, many years, except for, of course, there are spots in the world where there's war, and there's always been war. And you hope that, it gets settled quickly rather than dragged on. But people have they're less aspirational, and I feel sorry about that. I think the colleges have a lot to do with this too, that they're not spreading hope, they're spreading a philosophy of disenchantment with our society. And we're a great society. They're the first time democracy ever was really put into place and has been working for as long as it's been. And I would hate to see that being taken away by people who are trying to change the system for whatever political reasons they have. So I think young people are in a dilemma, and they're grasping. And then on the other hand, a lot of them know where they're going and are doing wonderful things for the whole society. I think actually this age is much more into giving back than ever before, which I think is something good. But we have to keep trying, and we have to certainly, if we see someone that's suffering, we have to reach out and notify the right sources so that they can get help, because that's very important. If you see somebody really who's desperate, get a hold of somebody, let somebody intervene and sort of help them get through this stressful moment.
Okay, let's talk about our dating topic of the week based off of rule number 23, which is if he doesn't call you on the phone before your first date, don't bother going out with him. You didn't realize that we don't speak on the phone with people before we meet on a first date, that it's all done over texting or...
I know, but I think that's bad. I think it's bad. I think it doesn't necessarily all have to be a phone conversation, but it wouldn't be so terrible. And it might be sort of help get over the first date anxiety. If you've texted and you've made a plan that the fellow who's made or who's ever reached out to make the date. If it's the woman who's reached out, then she should do it. If it's the man who's reached out, then he should do it.
Just
call
say
up,
what?
say hi, just checking, going to meet you at so and so at 8:00, or just a voice in the dark, so he's still on board with going out, and it's just not
So
strictly
the day of?
I would say the day of,
Okay.
or the morning of.
And then what if... I feel like if that happened to me, I would like panic for a second. Like, why is this person calling me?
Well, I think people have to stop panicking over a phone call. I mean, I think it's too much of just texting and too much impersonal kind of contacts.
Yeah. I guess the thing is, if it's just to be like, hey, are we on? And it's like, yeah, we are. Then that's the whole conversation. And then you hang up.
Yeah, basically. Or say, I'm going to meet you at 8:00 at wherever your destination,
so
or
what's the
7:00.
point of doing the whole phone call.
It just puts a live voice to the person. I really do think we need more personal involvement in going out on a date.
And if you don't like the person's voice for some reason, or if they say something that rubs you the wrong way and you want to save the time, can you not go?
No, I think you still go. I think you still go because the first impression isn't always the most important one. The person on the other end could be a little nervous. But I think everybody has to be a little less judgmental of each other. Especially, I was watching something the other day on a program. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of these movies that's got 4,000 chapters to it, one of these series. And the girl was asked, well, how did you find your love? And she said, I didn't find him, I worked at it. And I made it my love. So, and I believe that very much. It's very, very rare that when you look across the room, that was a song once, you fell in love from across the room. Forget that. You go up to somebody, and if you see that somebody is nice, you make an investment in making that a purpose, a date. A relationship. You can't just expect these things to materialize out of the air. I think effort takes place on both sides.
So let's say you want to implement this calling rule and the guy made the date, but he doesn't know your rule, so he doesn't call. Should the girl call and be like, hey, are we still on for today?
No, then if whoever initiated the date has to make the call.
Okay, so boys listening, try this out.
Girls listening, try it out.
Well, how do they try it out if they didn't make the date?
No, they have to have made the date.
Okay,
Sometimes
so
a woman
if you
says,
did make the date,
right?
girls.
Whoever made the date.
Yeah, but if it's a first date, I think it's kind of rare for a girl to have made it.
You don't know in this world.
That's true. Let us know how that goes. Okay, let's answer a few questions from listeners. Okay, thoughts on liking a far older man?
Well, it depends how old she is. I mean, we're not getting that from that email, right? I think if you're in your 20s, you could date anywhere up to 10, 12 years older. That's fine, and especially if he hasn't been married and you haven't been married. Everybody gets to a point in their lives at different times, so that's all right. I think if somebody is 20, I don't think she should go out with somebody 40 years older. I mean, there's rules, sort of that you should follow in this. But I think everybody matures at different times, so the age is not as important. But I do think, a 20 or a 30-year difference when you're just first starting out is pretty difficult.
After what date is it forgivable that he accepts your offer to split the bill with him, if ever?
Well, my feeling on this. I think the man is always in control of the bill. So from the time I was young to the time I'm old, I wouldn't pick up a bill. I would expect my husband or whatever man was at the table, because you don't necessarily go out with your husband. You could be going out with another couple or another man alone if you're doing some business. He picks up the bill. That's just part of how I grew up. Today's world is different, and it also depends on the finances.
This isn't a question from someone, but I'm curious what you think of when, let's say a guy is going out to dinner with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's friends. Do you think he should pay for the friends as well?
Well, I think it depends on the circumstances. I think if a fellow shouldn't be picking up a bill all the time for a girlfriend's friends, I think that's not fair. Either you all throw in money and split it 4 ways, or if the fellow is very comfortable and he's making a good living and once in a while he does it, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think his girlfriend should say to her friends, listen, if we can't, you have to fork over some of the bill occasionally because so-and-so, shouldn't be put in that position.
Someone said, Grandma, I'm going to Tulum and El Dorado solo. Give me some travel advice.
Well, solo is good. It sounds like fun. I mean, it's a new experience. Go with an open mind. I don't know, is she going on a vacation or he going on a vacation? Well, just have fun. There's so much to do out there.
Have you been there?
No, but I've been out in that area. So, I mean, you just, when you check into your hotel, find out the local spots that you're supposed to visit, get all kinds of pamphlets and things, and try new experiences. That's part of traveling. New things to experience is the travel experience, and it makes you a much more interesting person.
There's a guy who keeps telling me he misses seeing me and doesn't make a way to see me.
Well, then that's just a lot of talk. And you know what?
Why do people do that?
People do it because they're insecure and they're nervous, and they really don't want to have a relationship with you, but they don't want to let you go. They want things all their way. And those kind of people, are very indecisive in life. If it's a friend and you've known him or her for a very long time, and this is the modus operandi of how they act, you forgive it. But if it's been a past boyfriend or a past girlfriend and they put on this kind of nonsense, you know what? Call it a day and say, you know what? Go find yourself, figure things out, and have a good life.
Okay. Let's do one more. Grandma, how does one move on after a long-term marriage besides therapy?
Well, I gather the marriage ended in divorce, not death by a spouse, but we don't know that. If it's divorce, there's a lot of bad blood that probably went on at the end of the marriage, and you have to deal with it either through therapy or through your own introspective looking into what went wrong, and hopefully not repeat it. That's the same as in dating. We've talked about that. If you've dated a bad guy and you know what went on, you don't go and date the same type again, because then you're looking for punishment. And I think it takes time. Time heals all wounds. If it's a passing of a spouse, then you have to heal. But if you've had a good relationship, you will find another relationship probably. And just reach out to friends. I think friends at that time are very important. And do things that you enjoy doing.
Another great episode of Excuse My Grandma. Follow us on social media, Excuse My Grandma, and